All right, good to see, good to be. It is your boy DillyDave, aka the Milky Bar Kid, out here for another episode of Grounded with DillyDave.
Woo.
Today we are at Brick Lane Brewery, just hanging out at the shed. And for this fucking episode, we've got one of Perth's brilliant minds, and by brilliant I mean chaotic. This guy over here, Jim Horde, is all about the punk, the poetry, the performance. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. How's the feels today?
Pretty good. Just been fucking working most of it. But yeah, now I'm ready to chat, have a drink finally.
Yes. Cheers to that, man.
Fuck yeah, man.
Cheers to having a fucking chat.
What else would life be without it, huh?
Not too much. But before we get too far into it, I think a great way to get grounded is to acknowledge the sacred ground that we're on. So I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land. Over here, it's a combination of the Burrung and the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. So I'd just like to pay respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, no treaties signed, and let's have a bit of awareness and gratitude for when we share our stories.
Preach.
So, preach.
Yeah, preach.
That's where it's at. So, Jim,
Yes.
Sam, Horde. It's all happening, man. It's been a little while since we've caught up, hasn't it?
100%. Probably a few months now.
It's been a few months. When was the last time we caught each other? Was it at
Bad decisions.
Bad
probably.
Decisions?
Yeah, come on.
for another bad gig?
They're not that bad. I've had some good moments there.
Have we been on the same bill or lineup like 2 or 3 times?
Probably, yeah.
And every single time it's kind of us at the end, just like, it's just us.
I guess they're not really entitled to stay, but you gotta, like, at least they do those kind of shows. Not many venues will do that.
That's true. Just it's more for us than anyone else. Hey?
Yeah, it's a good like playground. Like I feel like when you're testing things, like if they just chuck me a message, I'm not gonna say no.
Right. I think I completely agree. I like the idea of it being a playground, a testing ground.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what does my set look like now? Maybe it's been a couple months since I performed.
100%. And sometimes you just want to like play new shit. Like you're just making stuff, and then you're like, oh, this song's cool. I wouldn't want to play this on an actual set, but I can test it. Then if it gets like good enough response and stuff, like that was Lizard's Eye kind of. That whole song sort of just came from accidentally performing it. I was just like, oh, people fucking like this one. This is probably going to be a good song to release.
That's very interesting to know because Lizard's Eye is fun, and I think like the chorus hook really fucking gets people into it. Can you do it just for a second?
Never glimpse into the lizard's
eye.
Never glimpse into the lizard's eye.
Never glimpse into the lizard's eye. It's huge, like that repetition, that kind of trance like thing. But you can't necessarily know if the audience will like that unless you've played around with it in front of them.
100%, yeah. And I think the reality is most of what you play, they're probably not listening to. But
yeah.
It's all about those kind of like big songs. I've realized from performing enough is you got to have enough of those real like cinematic songs because they get the audience listening. I've always noticed sometimes in my sets, like the first like 2 to 3 songs, people will be like, what the fuck is this? Why is this guy wearing a Rat Master shit?
I've been there. I was there when I saw you the first couple of times. Like this guy is wild and out there.
Yeah, but then they might lose interest slightly because people have shit attention spans. Then you got to do something to...
We're just looking at our shout outs to Atlas on the 1s and 2s, our co-producer here on set tonight, just making sure that every single detail is schmick. So
Beautiful.
Shout outs Atlas. But
That'll work.
we were always like, I'm always ready for a hand gesture for like, framing or like mic position or anything. So
you get it talking afterwards, don't worry.
Absolutely. But yeah, for me, something like Bad Decision gig, and by Bad Decisions, like it's a great venue next to Laundry in Fitzroy. But they have a Sunday show there, and often, it's a little bit more artist than audience.
Oh, yeah.
But I think for both you and myself, if I get an opportunity for a gig where I have to like practice and get ready for it, like I love being ready for gigs.
Oh, yeah.
And it's better, like that is a little bit of a different feel and preparation than just whatever open mic.
Yeah. I do actually do a lot of rehearsal. I think that's something I don't think I realized until I was like talking to other artists is like when I want to perform, I don't want to just go in there blindly.
Yeah.
Like I like to piece it all together and make this kind of sort of like story, I guess. Where I think for some people it's just like I'm happy to play my songs and that's fine. It's kind of how you perform.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've brought up the words like cinema and cinematic and that kind of stuff. That's an interesting way that not every artist performs in terms of like the bigger picture of story, that full experience, whether it goes for 20 or 30 minutes or whatever it is. So how did you come across this idea? And this ties into another question, which is like, what is it that you're trying to do? How do you perform? Like, what's your approach and why are you doing what you're doing?
Damn. I guess when it comes to performance, a lot of it I do in character. So
Yeah.
I kind of have like a pretty, not like heavy, but I do have a theater background and some like, I went to uni for a bit to study like creative writing. So
Yeah.
I've always loved like story and like the abstract. I think I struggle to make music if it's not like all interconnected and stuff. I love all the lore and shit.
So it makes it easier for you to follow if you're navigating through this story that you're
Yeah,
creating.
and I feel like then all the songs kind of make more sense when you play them together because they've got some sort of
Yeah.
greater, what's the word, like connectivity.
Cohesion or
Yeah.
continuity.
Continuity
is
that's
the word.
one.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. For me, that's why I've embraced like the Milky Bar
Yeah,
Kid.
you definitely have done it a lot as well.
Because it helps me like know how to feel and move and like act on stage, like how to perform it out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, as you said before, you're just some person doing tracks.
And I think that can sometimes look a lot more awkward. Like people kind of know it's not as like, it looks a bit, I hate to use the word try hard or like too cool for school kind of. Like maybe I'm being a bit shitty there and like a little pretentious, but yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of live music, I guess, from like celebrities, and maybe just almost I've somewhat adapted that more because the underground is a little, you have way less to work with in those like underground tools, but I've always looked to like the big artists, like, you know, like Tyler the Creator and all those guys, and how much kind of stuff they have to work with.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You can do a lot with theatrics with no budget, right?
Yeah, you got like costume, that's the main one.
Costume, like set pieces. Maybe you actually take the effort to put a fucking graphic on a USB so they can put it on a projector if they've got it there.
Even like, I find interludes very helpful.
Yeah. Because that gives you a moment to reset, you know, change gear or change mode.
Yeah, 100%.
So people like Tyler the Creator and who else has kind of influenced you in this story-driven narrative
When it
performance?
comes, I mean, the big one clearly is Genesis Owusu.
Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't
big
heard.
fucking influence. Yeah, and
Right.
I was actually in his music video last year. He just posted some shit on his Instagram like, I need people with buzz cuts. I was
There
just
he
like,
is.
oh yeah, fuck yeah. So at the time I had a mullet and I was
Oh,
thinking
wow.
about shaving it anyway. I was just like, what better time to do it? But that was such an incredible experience, and sort of getting to talk to him, being around that space, and sort of being around someone who clearly, you know, he's pretty successful in his field. He's won arias. He literally would make money off this shit. It's cool to see that it's
Right.
like possible.
Yeah. When you get to engage with the scene at that level,
yeah,
where you
it's
get
phenomenal.
to collaborate with an idol,
Yeah.
that's mad, right?
Yeah, 100%. It was just cool even just to like be around him and shit.
Yeah.
And like,
I thought you were going to talk, and you thought I was going to talk. So you've dropped a couple releases recently. Do you want to talk us through, because you dropped an EP and a single within the past couple months, is that right?
Yeah, I've dropped EP maybe like a few days ago.
Yeah.
Which was titled Hiraf.
Cool.
Which is all about, Hiraf is a Welsh word that describes this sort of longing and nostalgia for something that was never really there. So it's a bit of an abstract thing.
Chasing illusions.
Sort
kind
of,
thing.
yeah. And I guess when I first wrote that song, it was back in like 2021, but I've definitely adapted it a lot more to kind of fit the greater story that I was writing at the time. But yeah, it's a pretty abstract song, I will say. Some of my friends that have listened to it have just been like, this is cool, like this is different. You know, it's sort of like bounces from genres, a lot of poetry, a lot of like just all of that.
Yeah, because that's the longer one that incorporates, you know, the bit of the breakdown and change up of track, and like your poetry kind of interlude. That's interesting. Like, was that one of your initial approaches to writing things, having different sections, or did you just accumulate all these different flavors over the time, and now you're piecing them together in different ways?
I think with that specific track, my brother made the beat, so he kind of just sent it to me. At that time, what did I say, like 2021, we were really fangirling over Black Country New Road, who are like this sort of prog rock kind of punk band. And we were like, we kind of want to make something in that real like exaggerated kind of almost like theater band kid music.
Right, almost campy in whatever
Yeah,
flavor
just
sound it
fucking
is.
weird. And
Just really leaning into it.
yeah, like it's like I listen to that song, like it won't do good on streaming, right? But I'm proud of the.
Well, as I said before, like if you're comfortable performing it on stage, then that's
Yeah.
gonna like translate more to
100%.
audience.
It's a song to release for like people that are like tuning in. I know I release some music that is way more digestible, and that's how you get new fans. But songs like Fleeting Youth are for the people that are like, follow me for a while and they're like, this shit's cool.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you're both creating stuff for a new audience, but then also stuff that kind of serves you and your performance as well.
I think you kind of have to. I think you
Yeah.
can be really like mysterious and just drop albums and EPs is unfortunately in this landscape is a little arrogant. People don't listen to small artists.
Yeah, unless they're doing something quite different or unique.
Even
I guess.
then, the odds are they probably don't know who you are.
Actually, I retract that. They're probably less likely if you're doing anything too experimental at that lower level. I think you're right. You have to kind of, jump on the wave of the trend of other things just to like be a part of the conversation.
Yeah,
or the mix.
I've always said, because I've had this conversation before in like interviews and stuff, it's sort of about like sacrifice. So if you can do 80% abstract and unique, that's really going to reward you. But if you're 100%, it's just maybe too alien. You need people to actually tune in.
Well, that's to be that familiarity, like that kind of like, oh, I can relate or connect this to something else.
And that's why I think just understanding who your influences are is like the most important thing. Because then it points people in the direction. So if you're like, I love Genesis, I love King Cruel, Black Country. Yeah. If I'm saying artists like these, people that also fuck with them are way more inclined to check out my shit.
Right, because the chances of there being a shared audience is way bigger.
It's a shared audience right there, man.
Yeah. Cool. So you're from Perth, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. Grew up in Perth.
There, so.
But what are you saying? Do you consider yourself more of a Melburnian now? Have you swapped states, or what's happening there?
I think like my heart's in Perth, but I do love Melbourne. I think it's a more exciting place to live, and especially for music, art, all of that. A lot more opportunities.
Yeah.
I think I would. There's some parts of Perth I feel very blessed because I think I could have a pretty good community there, but the reach is very limited. Like once you've got it, you've got it, but to get more than that is really hard.
Okay. So it's probably, I think, is this kind of what you're saying, that it's easy to get like a smaller group of people on board with your stuff maybe in Perth, but there's like kind of like a ceiling on that?
Yeah, and a lot of the crowds, I think the musos in Perth, the ones that are cool are like awesome, but there can also be a lot of like pretentiousness because isn't, I think that's what I realized when I came here. I think I was a little cocky. I was like, oh yeah, like I make music, I'm so cool. Then
he was a little cocky actually about 3-4 years ago. This guy,
Hubwood, I've got older, but everyone fucking makes music,
Yeah,
so
true.
It's not as like, it's not like special, but it's just you've got more competition here.
Yeah, and I think it probably takes a little bit longer to dive into the scene and figure out, where your people are, right?
Yeah, and I'm still doing that. I'm still not sure, but it's
totally
all about experimenting. I've been to a lot more like networking events recently and just trying to meet other musicians, other creatives, even like, like my jobs and stuff.
What are some of these networking events or whatever you've been to?
I went to one on Sunday called Squad Sundays. That was really cool. Yeah.
Who runs that? That sounds familiar.
I can't remember the name, but
okay.
Yeah, that was really cool. I also went to Bread and Break. They did an event at the Vineyard, and I performed there. Just like an open mic venue thing.
Because the Vineyard has been doing an open mic there for a while.
Yeah.
But this is like a Breaking Bread.
Yeah, I think
edition.
they like sub-hosted it with some other guys and like Ripe.
That's in St Kilda?
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
So that was cool.
That's a good vibe. That's a good setup.
Yeah. It's definitely more like hip hop. So
yeah, right.
The shit I was performing was a little more like out of pocket, but I think some people still fucked with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like how involved some people are with the community, and how some artists kind of see the community as a really great way to grow their own stuff, whether that's just like, impressions or exposure or optics. And then maybe some people would be like, might like it for the collaboration possibilities and stuff. But what makes you not be a hermit and be the kind of person that like seeks out community for music's sake, right?
Maybe I'm just a little introverted. I don't know. Honestly, sometimes I think, like I always say, it's my fault that I'm not getting gigs and shit because I just need to go to more events, right? So all of the blame is on me. And that's what I'm exactly trying to work on right now. And I've seen the rewards of it. It's a lot better to be in communities. And I think, yeah, you'll just meet more people. You'll make friends.
Yeah.
I think I underestimated that way too long and just thought everything was online.
Yeah.
I will say, yes, largely online is way more important. But having a good support network, having other artists, it's very important as well.
Yeah, being able to hook up a gig, you know, you're right. You do have to be out there. You do have to be seen, like shake hands with a couple people,
Yeah.
say what's
And
up.
you can make the coolest music ever, but once again, if no one knows who the fuck you are, why are they going to come to your show? You need to like sort of expose yourself to them.
Right.
And then they'll be like, this is cool. I want to come to your shows.
So do you do you engage with the community in sense of like getting an idea of what's out there and the different sounds? Or
I think that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah.
More like early levels. Like, you know, I was with Vibe Union for a while, but I guess
Yeah.
I just sort of drifted away. People, you know, that's normal, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
Yeah.
like the initial wave of that was a lot more music performance driven, and now they've got like some other curated events like the spoken word night, the poetry night, and stuff that are like very consistent. But I mean, as a musician or a creative, I find that I'm always drifting in and out of things. Like it's hard to,
100%, yeah.
even this podcast, you know, like it's hard to stay on the one thing for
I mean, that is
quite a
the
period of
curse of
time.
creatives. We can't fucking stick to anything.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, we get way too, like, you know, you have one idea, you stick with it for like a few months, you're like, this is fucking awesome. Then you get bored of it.
Right.
And like, I think animators probably have to deal with that way worse than us because I've heard like there'd be, you know, that initial passion for a project, maybe like 3 months. Then it takes like 5 years to finish or something. So you've already lost that, like, damn, this is awesome.
Yeah, and I think animation potentially for some people is a lot more of a grueling process of creation, right?
I've heard that.
Yeah. But I feel like with us, we can kind of like, it's a lot more fluffing around and throwing things at the fucking...
And also nowadays, like, music's a lot easier than it's ever been, right? Like, anyone
Yeah.
can kind of make a song, so...
One of the recent tracks you've put, your single that you put out, Little Dragon. Do you want to tell us a little bit about like the idea behind it, the theme, what you're kind of going for?
Yeah, okay, Little Dragon. It's definitely a bit of a fan favorite. I think a lot of people always say that one. They're like, yeah, fucking...
We love it. We're
like,
fans.
it's sick. I love performing it, man. Like, I did a show in Perth in, like, December, November, because I went back because my mum got married.
Oh, shout outs, big
shout
ups.
out, Mum. But yeah, I did
Love your
some
work. What's your name?
Philippa.
Love your work, Philippa.
But yeah, did some shows. I was back there. I was like, might as well. Just performing that song, you can see people do just get around it. It's fun. It's catchy. It's punchy.
Yeah.
You know, it's quick. It's sharp.
Yeah, it gets people rowdy.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it, man. It's
Yeah,
like very, you know, inspired from like Idol, Slow Tie, that real like English kind of punk rock scene.
Right. And like what's the theme? Like what's the idea? Like what are you commenting on? Like what's happening there?
The theme of Little Dragon's a lot about like alcohol.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely done some stupid shit on alcohol. But
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
this song's definitely more about like people that drink and then just try to fight each other. And it's usually over chicks. Like when
Yes.
guys fight, we get kind of clingy, we get jealous, we get pretty petty. And that song was also inspired from the Coward's Punch, which is a tragedy.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's kind of the story of this song is this guy's got pretty out of control, got into a stupid fight with someone, killed him by accident, and running from the cops. And that is sadly a reality.
Yeah, but I think it takes a certain level of bravery, if you will, to tackle those subjects that you might not think that everyone's going to want to engage or talk with.
100%. But I think the best music is kind of like vulnerable. But it can also be disguised in a way. Like we were talking about Lizard's Eye before.
Yeah.
That song's actually about like suicide. But it's not that obvious.
No shit.
But yeah, if you look into like the actual lyrics and stuff, I think that's cool. Like some music can just be a banger, but then it's like, oh shit, that's actually about something far more intense.
Right. And whether the audience only knows that subconsciously, it doesn't matter. Like, I
No.
guess, they're still engaging with it.
100%. Yeah.
Cool. What are you working on at the moment? What's happening?
So,
Do you
yeah.
feel like you've at the end of a particular grind period, or
I'm at the end of an era, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna drop an album, but I just think, like we were talking about before, it's kind of pointless. What I've done is just put all the songs I've dropped in a playlist and like how you should listen to it. So, experiment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of gonna take a break and just sort of drop some more like fun poppy singles. They can still, some of them still tackle some deeper shit, but some of them are just stupid. Like
Yeah.
the next song is such a 180 from Hereaf. It's about Kung Fu Panda.
it's about Kung Fu Panda? Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda, bro.
Shout out to Jack
I
Black.
fucking love Kung Fu Panda, and like, you know, I guess the last EP was a bit about like nostalgia and shit. Kung Fu Panda was like such a big thing from my childhood.
Yeah, it was like an iconic bit of pop culture
bro,
there,
yeah.
right?
But like, I watched that movie. I remember my DVD player or whatever. I think I watched it like 200 times.
Holy shit.
Yeah, my parents never got me diagnosed with autism, but if that's not a sign, I don't know what fucking is, bro.
I guess so. Like, is it the production or the person at that point?
Who knows?
It's hard to tell.
They should have figured that.
I mean, I like the movie. I haven't watched it 200 times, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Just as a kid, like I just
Yeah.
had it on repeat.
Was it, what was the appeal of Kung Fu Panda for you? Did you see it as like, there was a hero figure or an underdog story?
I think it was,
like,
just Poe is a bit of a loser. Like, that's the whole point. It is a
Right.
bit unrealistic that he kind of just becomes great or whatever, but
Sure.
besides the point, Poe is just this kind of like outsider, drop kick, a bit of a like dreamer. And
Yeah.
I think anyone can kind of relate to that, dreaming about that life. And then you get there and it's actually kind of not what you expect. And like, you can even
Yeah.
apply that to music. Like, I could make it and then not be able to handle it, you know?
Not be able to handle
Yeah.
it or not appreciate it as much as you
Yeah.
thought you would.
'Cause sometimes it's fun just kind of being the fan and the observer.
Yeah, yeah, being the fan and the observer. I think, you know, the magnitude of the audience is always underplayed. Like, you know, it's so important because, I mean, we're an audience as well. Like, we like to go out and watch
100%.
people do their thing. And for me, like, that's often the biggest drive behind my music is watching other people do
Yeah,
it.
it's like when you've seen something and you're so inspired by it. Like, you know, have I been to any gigs recently? Like, fuck, I don't think I have.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm going to, do you know who Paris, Texas are?
The name sounds familiar.
They're
but
like
no.
they're doing a show on like Thursday that I'm going to swing past.
Oh,
So
sick.
that'd be cool, yeah. They're doing like laneway side shows.
I think next week there's Project Legacy that Vibe
Oh, yeah,
Union's
the
putting on
30
at
Duke?
30
I
Dirk.
might have to swing by, check it out.
Yeah, there looks like some cool people in the lineup there. And then also, you know, the Get Down.
I think so.
Get Down, run by
yeah.
Deets. Anyway, he's got a gig on that Saturday. So, yeah, I'll put some of those links and stuff. But yeah, there's some shit happening.
Fuck yeah.
It's so much better. Like, I feel like we're closer to what it was before COVID now than ever before.
Yeah,
It took
I
so
mean,
long,
With
man.
the whole Vibe Union thing, yeah, like I came in like just when the pandemic's like
Yeah.
that, like not the start of it, but it was that like big chunk, like that 3-month thing.
Yeah.
I think that I got to shout out, man. That was awesome to have in the pandemic. Like even just the poetry
Yeah.
nights we did, and even like I remember doing some
Yes.
music or something. I was like, that was really cool. It kind of kept the creativity like there.
Yeah, it gave you a reason to do it.
Yeah. I really do miss spoken word because it is.
Mm.
It feels almost like a purer platform in some way. And like watching people either perform these real like dark and like personal healing pieces, or just seeing you kind of fuck around and like, you know, it was awesome. And I think that variety I do miss.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't have to be a music gig
Yeah.
to go to really feel something. And sometimes, you know, like you go to a spoken word night or poetry night or whatever, and somebody's just fucking sharing who they are, what they are, what
Yeah.
they've experienced. And it's just so truthful in the moment. And the room is like in this mode of silent respect and like
Yeah.
high absorption, and you can feel the weight of the energy of the room. You
it's
know,
very human, and I think we need
yeah.
more of those kind of things. Especially, I really appreciate what they're doing with like Palestine as well. That's really
Yeah.
awesome to see. You know, because
well, yeah, no, I think it is so important to give people permission and platform to fucking, you know, speak their truth and
to grieve.
to grieve, acknowledge what's happening. Yeah, I actually think I wouldn't have thought of that first, but I think, yeah, grief is probably like a really great thing to figure out in that community setting.
100%, and even in like music as well. I think a lot of my music acts as kind of like art therapy. and like the way you process your own emotions. I don't know if I could be a sane person without like creation. It didn't have to be music, but at least it could be stories or poetry or comedy even, you know. Like,
I hear that, man.
yeah.
I think I'd be a full loon if I didn't have an outlet or multiple outlets.
And it's healthy, man. It's very healthy. Especially as men, you know, I think we don't handle our emotions the best. And having these healthy outlets like exercise, like creation, like, you know, meditation and these things, it definitely helps us kind of be masculine in a good way.
Interesting. Well, you know, I guess, you know, this podcast is called Grounded, right? So for you, I mean, you've mentioned some things that can help people, you know, access, you know, like this, this presence, like this really being in the moment and really kind of like a strong moment of reflection, or like whether it's stopping everything or like focusing on a very particular thing through meditation or whatever. You know, we need those kind of things. So what are some things that you do to tame the masculine, to tame, you know, this this boundless chaotic energy or whatever?
It's kind of a balance. I think you do need to let it out. And that's why gymming and especially weightlifting is such a healthy outlet, because that's where you can just be aggressive.
Could be a brute.
Yeah, you're allowed to just scream and fuck. You know, I guess I've always grown around with it, so I'm glad for that. But I think weightlifting's a big one. Running, much like meditation, it's that kind of constant presence. But yeah, it's a bit of everything. Finding what works for you is also a struggle. Like, it's not a one-fits-all solution. Therapy, I don't think, works on everyone, but like then meditation might. And it's just figuring out, what can make your life enriching, what can make you a more humble, polite, and just kind of happier person. What does being humble mean to you? Like, how would you break that down? How would you articulate that? Being humble, I think, is genuinely the most important thing to being a good human being. It's understanding you can be talented and great and you can be proud, but it's also realizing how important other people are, and you know, not thinking that you're greater than anyone else, or thinking that, you know, I make better music than them. I'm like, everyone's got their own process and their journey, and I'm very guilty of it, man. Like, it's a constant up struggle, like trying to be a better person. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm perfect. Like, of course I can be cocky and shit and, you know, think I'm like, like I make all this abstract shit. You know, why have I not got famous?
The temptation is there, especially if you're doing something different. Often we do something different because we think that's going to be better. Different is better, right?
And I do agree. I think obviously nowadays you can't just make clone music. And it's just, I see a lot of artists doing that.
Right.
But it's also realizing, you know, it's their stuff, man. If it brings them joy and fulfillment, who am I to judge? Yeah.
Has there been times where you've just wanted to like throw in the towel? Like, has there been like tons of those times, or just a couple of them?
I swear to God, after like every release, it's just like, fuck, this shit is annoying.
Right.
But if I didn't want to make music, I can do that at any point. And, you know, it might come a time, but like we were talking about before, I can't not be creative. Right. Even if I stopped releasing and just did it as like a means of therapy, or like, I think I'm always going to be writing and that. Like, I think one day maybe I'd move on to like books and do that kind of stuff. But
right. So you're not so committed to just like success as a music performer.
I think I just want to be successful as like a creative.
Yeah.
And be kind of, you know, acknowledged for that.
Do you feel like you kind of, it's more servicing, like obviously it's going to be serving you and an audience and people. Like for you, is there a ratio? Like I feel like you're serving yourself more than other people, like, because that's a different mindset for different artists, you know?
I think I'm looking at it as a job right now. So
right,
and that's a good thing. I'm younger, you know, I want to take this serious while I can, while I don't have actual responsibilities that are going to cripple my ability to do it. You know, like if I had kids or shit, I'm not going to like take the opportunity while you're young. But I just treat it like a business right now. So I guess a little bit of it is you need to focus on your audience.
Right.
So you might get pissed off and shit, but like you can't just cave in because one song did bad, you know?
Right. You got to reassess, have some kind of strategy, maybe have a hypothesis like this didn't work because of blah, maybe this will work because of blah,
and you just got to stay tuned in with like social media.
Yeah, I guess you got to have eyes on the scene. I mean, shit, that's why I do this
Even
podcast.
like the greater things, you know, like it's awesome to like stay in tune with Melbourne, but like what's trending on TikTok, you know, what memes do people find funny, just stupid shit like that, because that's how shit goes viral. Like Lil Nas X and stuff. Even if you don't want viral fame, it's still a good way to meet, like, find new fans.
Yeah, it's good for ideas, and I think you're right. Like the whole, the finger on the pulse thing is very important. And whether it's something in terms of incorporating a meme into like, one or two of your lines or lyrics kind of thing, and maybe that's a small portion of the song, but if that's a hook or an in for somebody else that's already established in pop culture or whatever's happening now, you got to do that.
It's just having some song, like I said before, have your songs that you're really proud of, like, Fleeting Youth for me, and like it means a lot to me and my friends and like people that can connect to the subtext, but also have those songs that you kind of know are more for like everyone. Yeah. Like when I make a song about Kung Fu Panda, I can see that doing well because it's dumb, but it's also relatable. Like everyone fucking loves that movie.
Yeah, it's in the known. Yeah, I think obscurity is a little overrated, like trying to,
and it's a little arrogant as well.
It's a little arrogant. Yeah. I actually think that what your commentary on what being humble is, this idea of you have to see yourself as at least equal with others. Otherwise you won't treat them with the same respect that you probably should be treating yourself. And there's there's a huge kind of like trickle-on effect of the way that you treat other people, and then what happens as a result of that,
Karma,
right?
Yeah.
Karma, or even like, I mean, if you're arrogant, if you're too arrogant, it could just close so many doors, right? Like,
100%.
If you just play it cool, no matter what you're sitting on, whatever your cards are, then, I feel like there's so many different more chances that you're going to have.
Yeah. I think you're allowed to play it arrogant on like social media, but as long as you're not that person in real life,
Yeah.
Because social media is like you're playing a character, like that's the thing. So playing to that, you can be as sort of over the top and dumb on social media.
Right.
As long as you're still respectful and not like preaching hate shit or whatever, Yeah. Be like over the top there, but when you're actually trying to meet people, be a good person.
I think that's kind of right. I mean, especially for example in the realm of being a MC or a hip hop artist, because they're like built into that for the most part is like this: I rap better than you. I rap better than And I think that you do have to play with that a little bit for everyone, because it's otherwise people are looking for reasons to back you. And when it comes to rap, for example, it's like, because they're the dopest rapper, I
think also with rap nowadays, no one really cares if you're good at it. It's, do you make good music?
You just shouted what I said. I mean, yeah.
Like maybe maybe the hip hop heads and those real rap nerds. Yeah. But I guess if you look at the wider demographic, Travis Scott is kind of a shit rapper, but his music is phenomenal, right?
Yeah, but he's still got that mad bravado or braggadocious
element
to it.
More like hip hop's changed and evolved. We're in a very different time period where like rap technicality isn't as.
That's a good point.
Like I guess you got like J. Cole and Kendrick and shit, and those. Yeah, I guess by that logic, it's still alive, but I think
that's not the only slice of hip hop.
Yeah, it's infused so much, and like look at like Playboy Cardi or some shit, like
punk
and hip hop and like metal. They're all kind of infusing into one, and it's a great time if you just want to fuck around with genres.
Right, because there's less rules, and you're right. I would concede that it's less important about the tech, but I guess like my mindset was when people are writing the raps about them rapping. Yeah, there used to be that period or moment where it was about that, and if you're not saying that you're the best or trying to demonstrate or flex in terms of technicality, then just playing with that persona, whether you think you are or not, kind of helped, or at least helps get people on board. Yeah, in a way, or did.
Yeah,
I think you're actually way more in touch with like what's happening now. For me, my shit is so like my understanding is so obscure. Like I never really grew up with, with the greats in hip hop, and I only really got into hip hop in my early 20s. Yeah. So I think I missed that period, and now I'm almost living in like an imaginary hindsight.
Maybe. I mean, maybe on like smaller levels you're right. Like maybe in the hip hop Melbourne scene, it's more about like the lyrical sense.
Yeah, like if somebody goes up
Yeah.
and freestyles and raps in
Yeah.
a stage, I mean, they're probably gonna be saying like, it's the whole idea of the lyrical miracle, whatever, blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
maybe
you know?
I don't love that shit, but I'd still respect it. Like if you're a good
Mm.
rapper, you're a good fucking rapper.
Yeah.
Can
yeah.
you be a good musician? That's a whole nother fucking question.
It's more about like, are you entertaining, right?
But
Like,
can you make good music? You can be a great rapper and make shit music.
yeah,
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 I
yeah,
think
and you can be
yeah.
great at producing, but be a shit rapper. or
100%.
whatever, yeah.
Also, I just think to just purely rap nowadays also shows a little. Can you do anything else? Like I'm trying to learn how to sing now because I know that's way more valuable and interesting. Even knowing how to produce is really important.
Yeah,
Just being a rapper seems a bit more like to other people you're looked at as just like a price tag. Like producers like, oh, I can make beats and just sell it to rappers because they know most rappers aren't gonna make shit out of their careers.
That's interesting. Like the rapper is actually the market or the client for the producer.
Yeah, I realized that the hard way.
Yeah.
I think I was just like, damn, these producers are like selling beats for so much money.
Because I think that the producers are a lot more business savvy or minded.
Well, they're not chasing imagery and fame.
Yeah, it's
I
a whole
think
other thing that I have to
a
mess
lot
with.
of artists, we can be narcissistic and be like, yeah, man, I want like all the girls, I want all this cool lifestyle,
Right.
bro. And like maybe it's not our fault. It's like the culture's fucking brainwashed us that for so long.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then, yeah, trying to unlearn that is very important. And then you will probably see it more, like I said, as a business. Which if you want to succeed, that's how you do it. The likeliness of you trending and just becoming Ice Spice or some shit is like 1 in fucking a million.
Yeah.
Take the small steps, build your fan base, build your audience, build connections with the people that have actually been fucking with your shit,
Yeah.
And then you get a small level of growth and you might be able to sell out like a 50-person show. That's pretty fucking cool if you could do that,
Absolutely. 50 people in a room there to see you is fucking dope as hell. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of commitment. That's a lot of like, the behind the scenes of that is like maybe 2 or 3 years of doing all this
100%.
other shit.
Yeah. So I think it's just really important to understand. Don't chase fame, just chase like growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you always centered around being creative when you were much younger at school? Like, what were you kind of doing at school to fulfill that creative itch?
I think near like year 11 and year 12, I got really into like English was probably my favorite subject in school.
Yeah,
I
same.
think I didn't realize that for a long time. I think I hated it. And then when I kind of got like teachers actually saying, you're pretty good at this, not the way we want you to do it, but like, you have something, that flair kind of evoked this path of just creativity that I'd been on for probably like 8 years or some shit. But probably before then, bro, I was just fucking playing games.
Just computer games and shit.
Bro. World of Warcraft and like that shit. Yeah, fuck yeah, man. But that shit ate up so much of my life. But
It still does.
I look at it.
Well, not so much.
I look at it so much now with like gratitude because shit like this, right? You probably notice what the fuck is this in the frame.
Hey.
It's like that kind of character and shit all comes from WoW. And I think even artists like Lil Nas X and stuff, you can kind of see that like World of Warcraft is very influential for creativity and like performance.
Yeah, well, it gives it like a whole lot of archetypes or visual
characters.
cues,
Even
characters.
like back then, we've probably been really creative without even realizing. Like the transmorgs.
Yeah, the visual aspect,
Yeah.
but then also like the team organization to
God.
tackle
Fuck,
stuff.
man, I miss it, bro. The raids and shit.
Dude. I still rate a little, like
still play?
a tiny little bit. Like I'll
What are they on now? Like Dragonfly?
Dragonfly,
Is that
yeah.
any good?
Look, it's never going to compare to when we were
Yeah,
14,
the glory
15,
days.
16.
We just don't have that time, bro.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
shame, but I mean, it's for the best, bro. That game can fucking suck you up and
Totally. Like
waste
now,
your life.
like I play World of Warcraft with a bunch of fucking 40-year-old, 40, 50-year-old legitimately, and they're all like very cool within that space, but I can, they're a little odd outside.
Yeah.
I imagine. And I think that game is it's just tough. Like it's 20 years old or whatever. It's never going to be what it was as a kid.
You gotta give shout out. It's done this good, like this long.
Dude,
Like,
I used to
holy shit.
dream in World of Warcraft.
You used to dream in.
Yeah.
The fuck does that even mean?
Well, not well. I'd like dream that I was like raiding as a healer and like keeping people alive, and it's not like an instance or like dungeon that is actually in the game, but it's just like
I would say there's
this thing.
some parts of World of Warcraft that I think I put into my life without realizing that it's like healthy. you know, the whole like dailies and shit. It's
Yeah,
like, you know, doing the
yeah.
things you got to do every day to
The
get
daily
that,
routines.
like, you know, like an MMO, you're grinding your character, you know, you're working on your body, just
Yeah.
shit like that. It kind of is like an MMO, like life's the MMO. That sounds
Yeah,
corny as fuck, but like
life's the MMO.
life's the MMO, bro. You
It
know, you work
is.
on yourself, you're gonna get like the better gear and shit.
You get to choose whether it's like real life for you or you're the NPC.
You want to raid in LFG or fucking Mythic, bro?
Yeah, true. Mythic is the serious shit.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's awesome. Fuck, that's so funny. So what's the so is that why your performance name is or artist name is Jim Horde?
Yeah,
like
that was like
is
my
that
fucking
really it?
game battle net when I was like fucking 12. And I think when I was thinking like I was gonna release my first song, Boy in Astro, in like 2021 or whatever.
Right.
It's like, what's my name? I thought about it for like 10 seconds. I was like, it can't not be Jim Horde. That's just, it's
Right.
been there for so long. It doesn't have any meaning. It's just Jim
Well, to
Horde.
you it has all the meaning, right?
It doesn't have meaning, but I
Okay.
guess it has like history. Like I never thought why I wrote that name. I can't think of what fucking evoked that for, but it just sounds cool.
What was your character's name? What'd you play?
Oh, bro, I played a lot of shit. I think my mains
What'd you like? Yeah, what was the
over
main?
history were like Moonkin.
Okay, with Druid.
Moonkin, yeah, Druid, a bit of Monk, Windwalker. Like I only got played into that shit on like Miss of Pandaria.
What were you? What were the character names? I'm actually interested.
I can't like Jim Horde is obviously some of them.
Okay.
I think one was like Lunai or some shit, which
Okay.
is also like my League of Legends tag.
True. Do you still dabble with any games or anything?
No, I actually don't.
Yeah.
I will very occasionally play like I played the new like Five Nights at Freddy's and shit.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I like the lore. Like I think I play story games if they were really cool. But I think unfortunately it was kind of my first addiction in life. And I think I can't really enjoy it like I used to. It just feels like a waste of time.
Totally.
Which is a shame. Like I do find that's a bit of a shame.
When time becomes a real valuable resource.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's just evolved. Like when I was like playing games, now I'm like I'd rather just make music. Like that feels like a game, bro. It is a fucking game.
I think you're right. That's totally how I feel, and I think the game and the music, it is both of a creative expression.
But it's a game, bro.
But it's a game. You don't get to kind of carry that outside of the game in a way.
Yeah, and it just feels like you don't feel like you're wasting time making music because at least there's something to show for it.
Yeah.
When you're like grinding World of Warcraft, you know it's really satisfying when you kill when you finish that raid and shit.
Right.
And your whole guild's there, like, yeah, man, like we finally did it. But like, then what? You're still just a guy behind a fucking computer.
Yeah.
At least with music, you can take it outside in the world. People will actually appreciate it. It develops your personality. Like when I started making music, I feel like I changed so much as a human for the better.
Because you have to really be aware of how other people perceive you and what you're putting out there.
And
right?
I think you just become more interesting because you're like devoted to something. When you have like hobbies and passions, that will develop your personality.
Geeking out and shit is important.
To a degree, like geeking out on the right shit, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna geek out on like fucking My Little Pony or like shit like that.
That's an interesting example to bring up.
I don't know what the fuck.
Loser.
Yeah, it's just geek out on shit that. Now I sound like a dick, bro.
No, you don't. You've presented very well this whole
Actually,
time.
you know what? Just if you like it and you show genuine love and passion for it, I think people will find it cool regardless.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's fucking like a Star Wars or some shit, like showing that like willingness to be yourself and not back down in front of people. Like even if you talk to, you know, it's like that kind of high school shit, man. You know.
Yeah.
Like you go up to the cool kids and you're like trying to put on this persona, but if you just be yourself all the time,
right,
that's the coolest shit you can do, right?
Just committing to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people will tell that guy's more just in touch with who they are. Yeah.
Oh, I feel
Don't know
that.
how we got onto that subject.
No, but I feel like we hit all the right places. We got all the right chords.
Yeah.
Thanks heaps for coming on today, man. It's been a pleasure.
It's been awesome, yeah.
It's well overdue. Any final like thoughts or sentiments you want to offer to the beings of the multiverse, like whoever is out there?
Whoever's listening,
Yeah.
I just think, you know, whatever you do, just do it as you want to do it. But if you're going to make stuff, maybe realize there's a little bit of adjustments you have to make, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Until you like have kind of made it, then you can do whatever the fuck you want. But yeah, just... Also, you don't have to make art for monetary things. You can just make it for yourself, and I think that's equal. So yeah, make songs for yourself, make songs to release, have fun, fucking read, learn, exercise, bro. Just, I don't know, work on yourself.
It's a whole lot of very helpful advice.
Yeah, reap the
Read, learn,
rewards.
exercise, create for yourself, for other people. No, it's awesome. Thanks again. Is there anything that we could point the audience towards in terms of things that are coming out or already out?
Obviously, stream Hereafter, the EP, bro. It'll be awesome because once again, if you really want to get into my brain or something, that song's probably the closest thing you ever get to like pure vulnerability and pure like, oh shit, it's 2 songs and a poem. So I think that's cool. Yeah, like I said, new music on the way. March 8th, I'm going to drop the Kung Fu Panda song because that's when the new movie comes out.
Oh.
So it's more of a marketing scheme, hey.
Huge. I love it. Oh, thanks for sharing today,
No problem, bro. It's been awesome.
Cheers. All right, big ups to everybody out there. This has been Grounded with DillyDave. It's your boy DillyDave, a.k.a. the Milky Bar Kid. Stay grounded and fuck Nestle.